Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai Satcharitra, An Insight. Episode 93. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan Brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Devotees, let us now heed to the 20th chapter of Sri Sai Satcharitra, which explicates the essence of Ishavasya Upanishad. What does the term Upanishad mean? Upa denotes nearness and Ni totality. Thus, Upanishad means sitting nearby devotedly. This refers to the pupils sitting down near his teacher at the time of instruction. Even Lord Krishna sat as a disciple at the holy feet of Sandipani to receive the teachings of the sacred texts. There is a good deal of speculation concerning the number of Upanishads. Different estimates of their number have been given and have been put by some scholars at as many as 200. However, among those Upanishads, 10 Upanishads are considered the most important Upanishads. Besides, 3 other Upanishads are listed in old Upanishads. Upanishads are also divided as Brahmopanishads and the Mantropanishads. Ishavasya Upanishad is a Mantropanishad, which means we are initiated into the supreme truth. Upanishads are placed at the end of all Vedas. Then why do we see a separate division into what is known as Brahmopanishad and Mantropanishad? It's because all Vedas have 4 divisions: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. And some Upanishads come within the Samhitas like Ishavasya Upanishad. The Ishavasya Upanishad is placed in the 40th chapter in the Shukla Yajurveda at the end of the Samhita. The other Upanishads are placed at the end of the Brahmanas. And because this Upanishad is placed in the Samhitas, it is also known as Samhita Upanishad. The Isha Upanishad is quite a small Upanishad, and yet it contains many facts which show an extraordinarily piercing insight within a short compass of 18 verses. It gives a valuable mystical description of the Atma, a description of the ideal sage who stands unruffled in the midst of temptations and sorrows, and an adumbration of the doctrine of Karma Yoga as later formulated, says Professor R. D. Renade. He further adds the most valuable idea that lies at the root of this Upanishad is that of a logical synthesis between the two opposites of knowledge and work, which are both required according to the Upanishad to be annulled in a higher synthesis. Ishavashyam means Ishvara resides. Shankaracharya says that the root is it, meaning it, and it means God. So, Ishavashyam can also mean through it. Another view is that Ishvara pervades the world like salt in water. The salt is not visible as salt in salt water, yet they both are different and separate factors. However, if Ishvara is but in the world, then he is limited by time and space. Swami Chinmayananda expounds that The very first stanza of this matchless Upanishad is in itself a miniature philosophical textbook. I would like to quote the words of Swami Vivekananda on Ishavasya Upanishad. He says it is the crown of all Upanishads, and as per Mahatma Gandhiji, if all the Upanishads and all the other scriptures happened all of a sudden to be reduced to ashes, and if only the first verse in the Isha Upanishad were left in the memory of the Hindus, Hinduism would live forever. Dashganu Maharaj once started to write a Marathi commentary on the Isha Upanishad. He decided to translate it in Marathi OV meter, verse by verse, by which is a Herculean task. He titled it as Isha Vasya Bhavartha Bodhini and wanted to explain the meaning of every stanza of the Isha Vasya Upanishad in verse form for those who did not know Sanskrit. With this intention, he translated the meaning of Isha Vasya into simple, lucid Marathi. Though this Upanishad consists only of 18 verses, it is full of hidden meaning. The essence of the four Vedas is really the treasury for the Upanishads. It is never easy for anyone to understand and explain the meaning, even though he may be a scholar, unless the God and the Guru bestows their grace upon them. Dashganu was not well versed in Sanskrit, so before commencing this work, he took the blessings of Baba by prostrating at his portrait. He also sought the blessings of his Acharya Vidyaranya in the similar manner. Now, Dashganu Maharaj has submitted his ego at the holy feet of Sri Sai Baba and to his teacher. With the blessings of Sainath Maharaj, he was able to comprehend the meanings of the words in those verses and expounded it well. Hemat Panji says, one may say that I am learned still. The secret riddles are impossible to solve, and at every step one would come across difficulties, but when one takes refuge at the feet of Sainath, then in no time the unintelligible text would reveal its meaning. Otherwise, such work can never be accomplished successfully, even in many lifetimes. A person, by reading the scriptures, can gain knowledge and can be called as a learned man or a scholar. But that's of no use in religious matters unless he is a realized person. A realized person need not learn the text but has complete knowledge of the scriptures and is wise by his own experiences. Hence, he is called as a jnani. A learned person cannot explain or split the sentences and phrases and write interpretations of the Upanishads, whereas for a realized person, it's never a difficult task, as the explanations of those great scriptures are part of his experiences. Thus, he can impart the knowledge of the Upanishads logically to the aspirant. Dashganu Maharaj is a poet, a great Kirtankar, authored books on the lives of saints. He was a Asu Kavi, that is, a poetic genius who could compose impromptu verses on any given topic at instance, and was trained by scholars like Sri Vaman Shastri, who even transferred all his Sanskrit scholarly knowledge to Dashganu. Dashganu has composed more than 1.5 million poems and has acquired mastery of Marathi. But when it comes to writing a commentary on the Upanishad, he realized that his intellectual capability is not sufficient to complete the task. Though he wrote his exposition, he had lot of questions. he was not completely convinced with his explanations. He submitted his work to many scholars and keenly listened to their interpretations and discussions. They all gave their clarifications, but it was not satisfactory for Dashganu. He felt that there is a need for the divine intervention and was certain that it must come from a supreme being who is none other than Sri Sainath Maharaj. Devotees, needless to say that Baba sowed the seed of thought to write the commentary on Ishavasya Upanishad to Dashganu, and now it is he who also gives Dashganu the realization that the Upanishad can be well expounded only by him. At this juncture, Dashganu had to visit Shiradi in the pretext of some work. As soon as Dashganu came to Dwarakamai for Baba's darshan, he prostrated at the holy feet of Baba and Baba began his divine sport. He asked in a casual tone, "Oh, Ganu, from where have you come? How is everything at your end? Are you happy and contented?" Dashganu, owing to his close association with Baba, replied thus: "Baba, when you have showered your grace, there is no need for my unhappiness. And I know you are omniscient and is aware of my predicaments. Then why ask if I am happy and contented? You are the wire puller of the world and have intuited me to write Isha Vashya Bhavarta Bodhini. Now, when it is on full swing, you have given an insoluble problem, which none could resolve, no matter how they try. My mind is filled with many doubts, and now I am standing in front of you to get it clarified. Hence, Baba, please have mercy upon me and reveal the wisdom to me so that my mind that is filled with misinterpretations will get a better understanding on the subject." Baba, with utmost compassion, looked at Dashganu and asked, "What is your doubt?" Dashganu, with all humility and respect, narrated the complete episode and placed his questions before Baba, which were difficult to solve, and said, "Baba, unless my doubts are clarified, all my efforts and time that I have invested on this book will be futile. Hence, I beseech you to please help me to resolve this issue." In Sri Sai Satcharitra, no mention is made about his doubts. Baba gave him blessings and said, "Are Ganu, what is the big deal about this? Why worry for nothing? When you return from where you had come here, there Gaga's maidservant will clarify your doubts easily." Devotees, I urge you all to pay your complete focus on this conversation that took place between Sri Sainath and Dashganu. Baba, in his reply, said, "When you get back to the place from where you came here, what does that mean?" Dashganu came from Vileparle, Mumbai to Shiradi. Dashganu doesn't reside at Vileparle, but before coming to Shiradi, he happened to go to this place and journeyed to Shiradi from there. This implies the physical journey, but the above statement of Baba has a deeper connotation to the spiritual journey of a person. Paramatma is the universal supreme soul responsible for all creation, and the Jivatma is the individual soul present in each of us, a derivative of the greater soul. And this Jivatma will have to merge back with the Paramatma or the supreme soul, and this can be done by introspecting ceaselessly on Soham, that is, the blissful nature of the self. Lord Krishna has said in the Gita that the mind, which by nature is fickle and hence difficult to be controlled, can be brought under control by constant practice, abhyasa. Thus, practice is the most important means of controlling the mind, by which the Jivatma can go back to its home, the Paramatma. So, when Baba said to Dashganu Maharaj the above statement, your doubts will be clarified when you get back to the place from where you came, though seemingly it looks as though Baba might have meant the location Ville Parle, Mumbai, but intended the merging of Jivatma with the Paramatma. The discussion between Dashganu and Baba took place in Dwarakamai amidst many devotees assembled there. So, all those who heard Baba's statement that the doubts of Dashganu Maharaj on Ishavasya Upanishad will get clarified as soon as he returns to the place from where he came, and there Gaga's maidservant would reveal the intrinsic details of the Upanishad, thought that Baba was being sarcastic at Dashganu and chuckled loudly. Baba never expounds philosophical truths with a serious note. Instead, he delivers them very casually using colloquial terms. Also, Baba expresses his thoughts spontaneously with a blend of humor in a simpler manner that would match with the thought process of the listeners. But Dashganu Maharaj was certain that Baba's methods are unfathomable and his words are always pregnant with meanings. Hence, he was completely convinced that though he wrote the commentary on the Ishavasya Upanishad, the underlying meaning of the phrases can be expounded only by the Supreme Being Baba. And when the Sadguru has affirmed that he would get the understanding at Gaga's house through the maidservant, Dashganu was sure that he would get all the clarification there. Of course, this belief will effortlessly dawn upon a person who has already experienced many divine sports of Baba. Hemat Panji says Dashganu Maharaj had the understanding that Baba's words are Brahma Lipi, which means the destiny written by Lord Brahma of everyone has been dictated by Sri Sainath Maharaj. Then, how can such words fail? Certainly not. In fact, Baba, in one of his affirmations, has said that my words will never be ineffective. Dashganu had unswerving faith on Baba's words. Obviously, he didn't know who that maidservant was and how this divine sport of Baba would get unfolded. Let me narrate another interesting Leela that was experienced by Dashganu Maharaj. Once, Dashganu wished to write a Marathi commentary upon Amrita Anubhava, a famous Marathi religious treatise, and that was impossible. A scholar told him that he could not possibly catch all the meanings of Jnanadev, the author, and express it in his work. Dashganu went to Baba, prayed for, and immediately got his blessing. Then he began to write his description of the riddles, seeming contradictions, and apparently meaningless statements of Amritanubhava. He grasped the mind of the author and explicated the same with various illustrations. These instances were mainly drawn by Dashganu from Baba's discourses at his darbar in Dwarakamai and his talks with other devotees. Thus, he succeeded in writing Amrita Anubhava in such a way as to satisfy even keen critics, and the scholars who first considered it impossible were satisfied that Dashganu Maharaj's work was commendable. Thus, Dashganu Maharaj, with no trace of doubt, believed from the bottom of his heart that Baba's guidance will resolve the issue and help him to understand the intrinsic details of the Ishavasya Upanishad. How did the maidservant of Gaga expound the principles of Ishavasya Upanishad to Dashganu Maharaj? Devotees, this is a fabulous Leela which we shall listen in the next episode. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.